When it comes to movies, having a quality subwoofer or even multiple subwoofers can either make or break a home theater experience. Definitive Technologies recently announced 4 subwoofers from their Descend series. The DN8 retails for $499 and features an 8-inch woofer and dual opposing 8-inch passive radiators. The DN10 retails for $799 and features a 10-inch active woofer and dual opposing 10-inch passive radiators. The DN12 that we'll be discussing in this review retails for $1199 with 12-inch drivers, and the big boy, the DN15, features 15-inch drivers for $1799. Now, full disclaimer, Definitive Technologies did send the subs in for review, but have not seen this review prior to it going live. Now, in my previous unboxing and overview, I covered all of the specs, so if you missed that video, I'll link to it in the card above as well as in the description below. Now, if this is the first time that we're meeting, my name is Michael Stevens with Youthman Reviews. On this channel, I provide home theater tips, tours, as well as product reviews like this one. So if that interests you, be sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified of future videos. The DN12 offers an incredibly stylish design with a really high WAF or wife acceptance factor. The matte black top is minimalistic in design with only Definitive Technology logo. Now, if you're like me and you enjoy watching your subwoofers in action, you'll kind of be disappointed to hear that the speaker grills are not removable. Now, with that said, I really do like how the speaker grill wraps seamlessly from side to side for a really clean look. Hidden behind the front speaker grill is a large display for the subwoofer's volume levels, crossover settings, and display settings. The large display makes it incredibly easy to see the settings from almost any distance and change them on the fly with the IR remote. Now, this is a really creative way to provide visual feedback of your settings without cluttering up the front or the top with an LED display. Now, for this review, I used the remote to change the internal crossover to LFE, and I chose my crossover in my processor. Now, as a side note, you never really want to set a crossover on your subwoofer and also in your AVR or processor. I recommend either using the LFE setting on your subwoofer or turning the crossover setting on the sub as high as it will go, which essentially bypasses the internal crossover and lets your AVR or processor handle the crossover frequency. The DN12 has 3 EQ settings: flat, loud, and deep. Now, in my testing, I preferred the EQ set to deep. Later in this video, I'll share measurements of each EQ setting so that you can see what each setting does. We all have different room acoustics and preferences, so it's nice to have a few EQ presets to choose from. The DN12 also has several settings for the display. Now, I prefer to set it to off so that it only comes on when I use the included IR remote control and are changing the settings. Now, after a few seconds, the display turns off so that it's not distracting while watching a movie. Now, overall, the DN12 looks gorgeous. It's got a modern appeal that is classy enough to fit into almost any living room or theater room decor without drawing attention to itself. Now, this was my first experience with Definitive Technology subwoofers, so I wasn't exactly sure what to expect when it comes to their performance. Now, I have 4 18-inch subwoofers in my dedicated theater, so as you can imagine, I'm a firm believer in the overall impact that quality subwoofers can provide during a movie. Now, needless to say, I was anxious to hear how the Definitive Technology subwoofer sounded. After calibrating the subwoofers, the first demo that I watched was Ready Player One. This is a scene that I am very familiar with. I was particularly interested in seeing how well they handled the scene where the dinosaur stomps and also when King Kong drops onto the freeway, as they both provide plenty of LFE to give any subwoofer a workout. To my surprise, I was very pleased that the 12-inch woofers provided very smooth, controlled bass that wasn't bloated or boomy. I listened to them around -10 below reference, and the bass extensions seemed quite good, and they never sounded strained or distorted. Now granted, the bass from the DN12s didn't rearrange my internal organs, but they did provide a very tangible and tactile bass that I could feel throughout my chair as well as my body. Another one of my go-to scenes is the shotgun scene in John Wick 3. This scene provides a lot of fast, kick you in the chest, mid-bass frequencies. Now once again, the dual DN12s did not disappoint. Every blast sounded articulate and precise, but definitely not overwhelming. Now initially, I was a little concerned that they're only rated down to 25 Hertz, but as you will see in the following measurements, I was getting below 20 Hertz in-room response in my theater room. So here we are in REW, which is Room EQ Wizard. Room EQ Wizard is a free software that you can download, and you can use a calibrated microphone like the Mini DSP UMic one that I use to measure subwoofers as well as speakers in your room. So keep in mind the measurements that I took are in my room. If you were to take these same two subwoofers and place them in your room, you're going to get a different frequency response, but I did want to share with you some things that I found in my room. The first thing is I'll turn on flat. So this is the EQ setting in each one of the subwoofers set to flat. Then I'm going to turn on loud. So you can see what happens here. Pretty much about maybe like 32 Hertz and below, we pretty much have the same exact frequency response. So when you change it to loud, you're going to get more output from, again, this is in my room, but you're going to get more output in these higher frequencies. So for about 30 Hertz all the way up across the board, you can see we got pretty much a couple of decibels louder as a result of that. And so if you're looking for more bass in the upper frequencies, you'd want to set that to loud. If I turn on deep, you can see that's the blue line. In that case, we lost just a little bit of output here. So that's the lowest amount of output from 30 Hertz on above. But where you have the trade-off is they've bumped up the lower end extension. So you can see you get more output here on this lower end extension. So in my testing, I actually preferred the deep settings. So I'll go ahead and turn these off and we'll just take a look at this. So with this measurement here, I've got the subwoofers crossed over in my processor. I believe I've got it set to 60 Hertz. So basically from 60 Hertz, it'll start kind of dipping down like this. And so we pretty much negates this null that I get in my room right here. It's kind of a dip right here at about 90 Hertz. So here you can see I've got a little bit of a boost here in the kind of mid bass, or I guess what they're considering sub bass frequencies. So these are a little bit higher frequencies. So it's from 30 Hertz to about, say, 40 Hertz. So if I were to run this through or put the mini DSP that I've got, it's a 2x4 HD, I could come in here and set a house curve, and that would pretty much flatten that down and reduce those frequencies so that I would have pretty much a flat frequency response from about, right here is about 18 Hertz. I was getting good solid output, and then you can see it begins to roll off below 18 Hertz. So that's one of the things that I was really pleased with these subwoofers is, you know, as I mentioned earlier in the video, that they're actually rated higher than that. I think it's 25 Hertz, but you can see I was getting solid output even lower than 25, so that's really good. Anytime you can get a subwoofer to hit 20 Hertz or below, to me, that's really what you're aiming for. And so I'm glad to see that these extended in-room response much deeper than 25 Hertz. So we'll go ahead and turn that off. And the next thing I'll show you is I did what they call compression test. So here's what I did is I took a measurement, increased the volume, took another measurement, increased the volume, took another measurement, and I kept doing that until we began to see basically a change. You can see each one of these lines are very symmetrical. They follow the same pattern. And so I continued to increase, continue to increase until I got right here. You can see this line gets really close right here. So that's what we call compression, okay? So pretty much that's kind of where the subwoofer's maxed out. So if I turn off everything except for that last one, we'll go ahead and leave that one off. So turn these off. We'll turn this one off. So this is kind of like the loudest I could get this subwoofer. So you can see at its peak, I was hitting 110 decibels, 111 decibels. Right here at 30 hertz, I was at 107 decibels. Even down to, let's say, I think it was 18 hertz, I'm hitting 99 decibels. So this had no problem reaching good solid output. Now again, these are 12-inch drivers and a couple of passive radiators. So you're not going to expect to be hitting, massive, 110 or 115 dB at 18 hertz. But like I said, I'm very pleased with the amount of output that these dual 12-inch subwoofers provide. Now, my experience with the dual DN12s has been an extremely positive one. I'm always hesitant to review 12-inch subwoofers as they often leave me a bit underwhelmed. But having dual 12s in my 13-foot by 19-foot with 10-foot ceiling room provided very smooth yet tactile bass that was quite enjoyable. So who are the DN12s for? If you're looking for a massive subwoofer that will extend down to single digits, this isn't the sub for you. But if you're wanting a subwoofer that is unobtrusive, looks gorgeous, and can easily blend into any decor, delivers powerful, tactile bass for movies, and articulate bass when listening to music, I believe the DN12 definitely should be a subwoofer that you consider. Now, if you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe because I produce weekly content on home theater tips, tours, as well as product reviews like this one. And as always, you guys be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video.